Make sure that microphone's on. I don't know if I pushed the button for the green light.
Okay. All right, if you want to take your seats, please. It's about 2 o'clock, and we'll get started. Last minute hugs, and then sit down. Well, thank you all for coming. My name is Bob Kelly. I'm with the Victor Historic Advisory Committee. We basically work with Babette Huber, who's the town historian, and one of our programs is the speaker series. And for me, it's been a great, I've learned more about Victor and the area over the last, well, it's been almost 10 years we've been doing this. And we've had some incredible speakers, and we're very pleased today to have Norma here talking. Norma and I just barely crossed paths because I started teaching and was teaching 9th grade, and by the time I was teaching 9th grade, Norma was probably a junior or senior, but I didn't know her through the rec program. We were exchanging, remembering Ed Ahonen running the rec program. Working for Ed Ahonen was always an experience because nothing bothered him, and he was completely disorganized and just went along with life as a, yeah, who cares if there's a line down the street? When I get there, we'll get started taking applications. That was my experience working with Norma. She was an experienced counselor, and I was a very green, inexperienced sort of the teacher that was trying to coordinate things. Mainly I relied on Barb Sharp and Barb Ahonen, I think, were the two that really ran the show. Actually, Ed didn't even really run the show. They actually ran the show. But I was privileged. I only taught at Victor for 10 years, but during those 10 years, I saw lots of changes in Victor, and obviously it's changed dramatically since then. But one of the big changes has the opportunity for women in sports. So I was just so pleased that Norma could come and speak. So I'll let her talk to you. Thank you very much, Norma.
I'll try not to miss any foul shots. Thank you for this opportunity to come and share my own experiences through Victor Sports Program and the explosion of girls' sports at Victor. My teammates from so long ago, thanks for coming. And those who are tuning in the live stream and will tune in later, thank you so much. You know, we've come a long way, but we've still got a long way to go, don't we? Get my clicker. Can everybody hear me okay? If I fade out, let me know, because I hate it when speakers don't speak into the microphone. Here's a little bit about me. I graduated, as Bob said, in 1974, went on to Potsdam for a math degree in 1978. And then I spent almost 5 years active duty in the Air Force as a meteorologist. And then after that, came home and joined the Air National Guard in Niagara Falls as an intelligence officer. Now, I know that's, one of those military intelligence, it's just, like jumbo shrimp, I don't know. But I had a wonderful career in the Air Force. When we first got to Niagara Falls, we were Air Defense of the United States, so our job was right there in Niagara Falls. After a while, the Berlin Wall came down, and the Canadians weren't a threat anymore to storm the border, so we transitioned to air refueling mission. So that took us all over the world, and I spent many deployments, just had a blast. Dangerous in some cases, but had a blast anyway. I taught over at Victor, substitute and taught for a little bit. And after my second child was born, I took some time off and then came back to Wayne Finger Lakes BOCES into adult education and technology program there. And then finished up my civilian career at Williamson Law Book. Again, kind of adult education too. I supported a payroll program. So I've been retired 5 years and married. My husband's here, and I have 3 children and 7 grandchildren. Bowling, I did many years of bowling as well. I was my friends called me an FBC, famous bowling columnist. I wrote a column for the Daily Messenger for bowling for about 5 years. That was a lot of fun. My column was called Up Your Alley. I also played women's softball in the Honeywell League with Deb Lehman. We'll talk about her later. And I retired from bowling and softball about 10 years ago. I don't want to run anymore. There's no running in golf. So the golf is my passion now. I'm not very good at it, but I love it. So we're here to talk about Title IX today, what it is and what it isn't. In 1972, it was passed, and now I know we're talking about the 50th anniversary, a little bit beyond 50 years, but we can blame it on COVID and scheduling issues and everything. But this was a follow-up to the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and it really didn't address the issue of sex discrimination. And a lot, as you remember, some of you might remember, a lot of feminists took up the cause to add sex discrimination as part of this Title IX, and that's really what we've come to know Title IX is. To give women and girls an equal playing time, equal opportunity in sports. Here's just some facts here. In 1972, over 300,000 women and girls were playing college or high school sports. 1 in 27 girls were participating. Almost no scholarships for any of the girls, and 2% of the college athletic budgets went to girls. 2%. 1978 was mandatory compliance of Title IX, and 40 years later, we have an explosion up to 3 million girls participating in sports. Tenfold we increased. For women, even then, I remember college degrees. Women were still not, I think my senior year of high school, I knew of one girl from some other school who was accepted into an engineering program at Clarkson. So up until then, girls weren't even accepted into those programs. And when I joined the Air Force, everybody asked me, well, didn't you want to be a pilot? Well, number one, it was not available to me, or a navigator. My eyesight, probably I wouldn't have made it, I wouldn't have passed it anyway, but pilot jobs were not available to girls at the time, women at the time. So, today's focus, we're going to look specifically at the evolution, right here at Victor. The opportunities before Title IX, and then how they're documented in our VCS yearbooks, blue and gold, gold and blue. Well, Victor Central welcomes you. I wore my sweater for you today. So it's documented by all the VCS yearbooks. I mean, we can't trust our memories anymore, can we? So we have to go, no, we have to go back to our yearbooks and really have a look, see what was going on at the time. Our memories of our teammates and our coaches. Setting the stage, way back 1931, 1934, some of these pictures have been preserved of the girls' championship basketball teams. And, you know, even then it was, we played six, 3 offense, 3 defense, can't go across center line. And, you know, I got to thinking about the passage of time as well. When I was a senior in 1974, it was only 43 years from this time. And it's been 50 years since Title IX was passed. I mean, let that sink in a little bit. That time period is shorter than Title IX. We had our own challenges, you know, back in those days we had backyard baseball, Victor Wood kids, yay Victor Wood kids, where we had 4 or 5 backyards. Pumpkin Hook, I'm sure you had the same thing, to go out there and play baseball and softball and football with all the neighborhood kids. But even then, I was only, as a girl, only could play certain games, you know, when we came down to the neighborhood competitions, Victor Wood versus Hillcrest or Victor Wood versus the Maple Avenue gang, it was only for the boys, only for the older boys. And I do remember, I don't know how many remember the brick church, the Methodist church, that little gym that they had there. I remember sitting on that stage watching the boys play. I wanted to play so bad with them. But don't take this the wrong way, okay? But I was a girl. I was like a 12, 13, 14-year-old girl. I did not have the height or the weight of those boys playing. But boy, the only way you get better is by playing with people that are better than you. I knew I was never going to get asked to, jump in for a play or anything like that, but I idolized Bill Bowerman and Gary Haddon. I'm an honest to God. I wanted to play just like them. You're my heroes if you're listening. This would not be complete without a shout out to Fran Bowe. All 6 of her children are very active in Victor sports, and her grandchildren as well. 7. Did I miss one? Who did I miss? 7 kids. That's right. 7. 7. 6 or 7? 7. Maybe I forgot about you, Carolee. Oh, here it is. 7 family members also were inducted into the Victor Athletic Hall of Fame. And the granddaughter, Fran's granddaughter Brittany, is an Olympic medalist in speed skating. So the tradition continues. Oh, I went the wrong way, didn't I? So how did it roll out? 1969 and 1971, these 3 women, Marla McBride, Deb Lehman, and Carol Martin, were our vanguards. They were our warriors. They put together, this is before Title IX, they were putting together gym class, inter-school play days. Yeah, right, it's called physical education now, not gym class anymore, but thank you, Phyllis. But we didn't know at the time about all the behind-the-scenes fights and battles that they conducted to shield, and they shielded us from all the politics and bitter battles and gave us the gift of play. We just wanted to play. And to each girl, to each of us today, we continue to say, yeah, we only had gym suits and pennies, but we played. So we're going to take a walk down memory lane with, as I said, the documentation of the yearbooks. 1969 to 1971, when I say only cheerleading recognized, I don't mean anything derogatory at all about it. I mean it as singular. That's the only thing the girls had was cheerleading. They worked hard, they valued their teamwork and discipline, and gosh, they had uniforms. They probably shared them, football and basketball, I bet. Yeah, yeah. And I show this, the win-loss record of the basketball teams when I was in 8th grade and 9th grade, not to say, wow, we really killed the other teams, but no, to say that we were ready as a well-oiled team. We practiced together, we played together, we wanted a, Marley McBride got us together, Deb Sitzman, Deb Lehman got us together, and we learned plays. We learned the fundamentals of basketball. And I think that our opponents, I think there was an announcement in the school that just said, okay, who wants to go play Victor? Raise your hand, get on the bus, we're leaving in 15 minutes. That game with Mendon Center, I am sure that's how it unfolded, 109-10. I'll never, ever forget that game. And we weren't trying to run the score up either. We were just playing ball. The 1971 yearbook, blue and gold everlasting. How many knew that? That's what Big L stands for. And that's an accent on the E, so it's Big L. There was only 2 pages under girls' sports. And you'll see the Victor, the varsity basketball team, and then just some candids, random shots. That was it. That was a coverage in 1971. However, in the spring of 1971, not only did the tennis team expand to a JV, but 4 girls also joined the JV tennis team. I don't know if they had uniforms for tennis. I think tennis players, just kind of come with their own uniforms. Shirts, yeah. Shirts, yeah. Oh, did I go too far? Yeah, there we go. So by 1971, we had, in the yearbook, we had a spread of, what, 2 or 3 pages. But you notice nobody has a uniform on yet. The boys' teams, the boys had football, they had varsity JV freshmen, basketball varsity JV freshmen, wrestling varsity JV, baseball varsity JV, track, tennis, golf. The girls had cheerleading varsity JV for football and basketball, and we had girls sports, basketball, and girls baseball. Our record that year was 8-2 in basketball. Our nemesis was Bluefield. Mm-hmm. Sorry. All right, I guess that's next. In 1972, Carol Martin formed the first Girls Leaders Club. And the important thing about that is that she engaged all girls, not only those who had athletic skills or who wanted to play sports. It was more of a team building, highlight cooperation, and develop leadership skills for all girls. Something that the girls never really had before. 1973 also saw the varsity club was formed, a co-ed, and the girls joined the cross-country team. And I use girls loosely because there was one girl on the cross-country team, according to the yearbook. We've been kind of talking about our uniforms and our wonderful gym suits. We have preserved This is what we were expected to play softball, basketball, volleyball, soccer in. Nice elastic waistband, snaps. There were kind of different versions along the way. This belonged to my good buddy, Linda Conklin Wood. Thank you for coming, Jennifer and Kimmy. She preserved just about everything. But the pennies, you'll see there in the soccer picture. They were just these little floppy things with elastic waist, and that's what we had to play in. But there was no budget, nothing in the budget for uniforms for us. Our gym time, remember now, set in 1972, Title IX has passed, and now we're kind of slowly getting into the fights that we, at this point, us girls had no knowledge of, for our coaches going to bat for us at all these different meetings. Our field time and gym time access improved, but still it was contested with a fight. Marla McBride, she told me that they'd have scheduled 4 o'clock for us girls in the intermediate gym. We show up for our practice, and the boys weren't finished yet. So, you just wait. You gotta go wait until we're done. We had 4 p.m. basketball games in the intermediate gym, much smaller, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. A much smaller gym, but at 4 o'clock it prevented most of our families from coming. My mom was home with 5 kids cooking dinner, and my dad wasn't home from work yet. And I'm sure that was typical of almost every other family. My mother came to 2 games in my entire high school career, both of which we lost. I kind of kidded her on that. But we still had no uniforms. And this year we also added girls soccer and volleyball teams to our roster there. But, that's it, just the varsity team, that's all. But we didn't have uniforms, but we still had developed skills, friendships, and attitudes. I love this picture. And no longer are we girls baseball, but we're girls softball. Still no uniforms. And even though we laugh and the pictures are cute, but I wonder sometimes, what is this picture really saying? At Carol Lee in your mud. Is it girls playing sports, can they be taken seriously? Almost like we recall the Bachelor's Club pictures in the yearbook. All the boys there with the colanders on their head and, not knowing what to do with an egg beater. Because the boys couldn't be taken seriously in the kitchen. Well, why not? And forget girls having a woodworking class. Marla put something together in the junior high on her own time for that. 1973, spring of 1973, saw the first ever girls Section 5 basketball tournament. These pictures, as yellowed as they are, remember, it's a long time ago, and we did have newspapers way back when. That picture on the left appeared on the front page of the Daily Messenger. We squeaked by Canandaigua 42-41 in an awesome game. And there's Sue Calkins over there on the right. Go Sue. But Diane Guinan wrote this story to me. She happened to be in the main office the day that picture ran on the front page. And Mr. Corbett, superintendent at the time, he came in the office just beaming about the girls being on the front page of the Daily Messenger with a great big win. And Carl Palumbo was there. And she says she remembers Mr. Corbett commenting on the gym suits and pennies. And she said, of course. I made sure that he knew, yep, that's us, in the gym suits and pennies on the front page of the Daily Messenger. And she said that she hoped that he was embarrassed. And maybe he was, because the next year, we got T-shirts, but we got uniforms the next year. T-shirts and shorts that we had to purchase on our own. So we're getting there. We're getting there. That game in 1973, our final game, we played, school size was not considered at all in any of these playoffs. Okay, you play you, and you play you, and you play you. So with a regular season record of 8-2, because we still lost to Bloomfield at that time, our semifinal round was at the U of R Palestra against Pittsburgh Mendon, a much bigger school than us. And on that team, they also had two awesome players. Cindy Martin, she towered above all of us. You remember, Clark? She towered above, and Kathy Morse, who went on to play a couple years in the LPGA. So they had some really talented athletes at that gym. And we're playing in a gym that's much bigger than that little intermediate gym that we were used to playing with. So we got thoroughly drubbed. But, girls' athletics received more coverage than ever before. Bill Boyle helped us out. Who remembers Bill Boyle? Oh, yeah. He was great, encouraging us always, running good stories, running good pictures in the Daily Messenger. But most important, right there, we developed the confidence, determination, and resolve. We're coming next year. We're coming next year. And we did. So from an 8-2, 10-game regular season record, we went undefeated the following year. And there's our uniforms. And we got more pictures in the yearbook, which curiously, those pictures didn't come out until the supplement, because those pictures didn't make it in time for publishing of the regular yearbook, so we got a little supplement. Yeah, we got warm-ups. Mm-hmm. Every single sport, yeah. So the road to the Class B finals. After 3 games, decided defeats, we waltzed into the finals coming up. And Victor Herald and Daily Messenger ran our picture there on the front page. And those of you who have children, you know that when they see your picture in the paper someplace, they have to do their best to, outline your own image there. So I thank my daughter Heidi for that. But the whole team, as a team, we were ready for our next opponent. However, we played the finals at Fairport High School, one of the biggest gymnasiums that we'd ever played in. The floor was probably regulation size, and Deb Lehman and I talk about this a lot too. Remember how far it was back from the backboards? There was this huge area in the back, and just threw our whole perspective off. And I'm not making any excuses, but I am. But it was tough. It was televised live on WXXI. And those of you who remember Mel Townsend, I was telling him that we're going to play at Fairport and it's going to be televised. And in his raspy kind of voice, he said, "Well, here's what I want you to do. When they have that hoop, with the big paper in it, you got to come out and make a big splash." So after the game, I was talking to him about it. He said, "You know why you lost? Because you didn't, come through that hoop." It was a really bad nightmare, though. Everything we put up spun around the rim and fell off, and it was awful. I fouled out, and the article that Bill Boyle wrote, "Poor shooting and fouls are Victor's downfall." It said, on the other side there. But it was curious, one of the things that I still remember, Bill Boyle said, he talked writing about me, he said, Miss Weissend played like one possessed. And I did. I did. But one of my most precious and treasured high school moments was Sharon Duffy and I were named to the very first Section 5 All-Star team for Class B. Way to go, Duff. You still have your trophy? Sidebar. When I left active duty, I stayed with my parents, moved back in with my parents for a little bit. And all my household goods were in a storage unit. And I don't know, they were in there probably 6-8 months or whatever. And I got a call from the sheriff's department. They said some of the storage units have been broken into. You may want to go check, you know. So I know. I mean, I had my household goods in there. And I'm thinking, I knew what it'd take to get all that stuff in there. You know, I don't know what they did to get it out, so I wasn't real worried about it. You know, I had my TV, my stereo, my senior high school yearbook, and some other more expensive things. So when I opened that garage door, there was almost nothing in there. Household furniture, you know, refrigerator, washer, dryer, sofas, and all the rest of my yearbooks, and my trophy. Yeah. Probably at the bottom of Erie Canal or something, I don't know. So that was a nightmare as well. So I'm glad you still have yours, Sharon. Next up was the girls' sports night. As we mentioned before, Carol Martin established the Girls Leaders Club, and we put on this exhibition in April of 1974. It was very well attended. The gym was packed. It was literally packed. But it was just an exhibition of talent of high school girls, what we could do and what we were capable of doing. I mean, it wasn't all about sports. It wasn't all about sports. But guess what? I had my little pointer. We could march. We could play floor hockey. We could sing. We could play basketball, volleyball. We could dance. We could do gymnastics and acrobatics and badminton. We had calisthenics to display our grace and stamina. And we had artwork in the form of murals and posters. And we made our own costumes. Well, not me personally, because I don't have that talent, but but all the costumes were handmade. I'm trying to. After your senior year, so Phyllis graduated in '77, so.
So I think one more was in '78. It had been '79, but I think.
But it was a lot of fun for all those girls involved. And again, it wasn't just for those of us who played in a sport. The Leadership Club was exactly about that, developing leadership skills for girls. The theme was yeah, if you couldn't hear, Phyllis just said that from the Leaders Club, the girls also went down to the intermediate and primary schools to help out with the phys ed classes in those buildings. And all the while, our sneaky coaches didn't let on. They didn't let on that that's what they were really teaching us. Cooperation, teamwork, and leadership. And here we come with the first Section 5 girls championship in the form of softball in 1974, Class B. The very young Phyllis Danks in there. We had our own page in the yearbook by then. So how did all this happen? How did we girls get to this place? We just wanted to play. That's all we wanted to do was just play. We wanted the same opportunities as the boys had. Our coaches and our mentors, our parents and our grandparents, they were our unfailing warriors in our battle. We were blessed with these three women. Marla McBride was there for 32 years. Yeah, Deb Lehman was there for 8 years. She took a break when she had her 2 children, and then she returned to teaching in Honeywell as a kindergarten teacher. And I caught up with her way later on, played softball, like as I said, many years with her and her husband Roger. And Carol Martin, 31 years. They fought battles for us that we never even knew about. Building meetings, school board meetings, coaches meetings, Section 5 meetings, who knows where else. But they were fighting for us. A little bit about Marla. As I said, 1969 to 2001, phys ed and health teacher. She coached over 40 seasons between modified JV and varsity teams. She coached 1978 to Section 5 varsity basketball champions, and 1978 basketball coach of the year. She had a lasting legacy of opportunity. She insisted on the ideals of sportsmanship, skills, and goals. She was elected to the VCS Athletic Hall of Fame in 2010. Now, in 1969, I was an 8th grader. It was her first day of teaching, and I will never forget this. I came into the gym, and, you know, I never caused any trouble, but I saw some fresh meat there sitting on the bleachers, and I came stomping into the gym and up the bleachers. I said hi, and I introduced myself and everything. And later on, she told me, boy, she was scared. But you know what? She put me in my place, and from then on, we good friends. Coach-player relationship was excellent. And on her last day of school, last day of teaching before she retired, I was at my job with BOCES at the time, and I happened to be at the district on that day, and I did not stomp. I walked into her classroom to bid her goodbye, first and last day. She experienced a lot of the same things that I did when she was young too, like playing. Man, who wanted to play Little League baseball? But no, girls could no girls can play Little League baseball. I think that was probably one of the biggest disappointments as a child, as a kid growing up. I wanted to play baseball so bad, and I was better than half the boys too. So you know, Coach Ahonen, I'm not sure how hard he really fought for me. He was probably waiting, yeah, we'll wait and see what everybody else says. Ooh-ah, right? Deb Lehman, as I said, she was only with us for about 7 years, but she also coached 4 sports. Many league championships and undefeated seasons. Nina Bowe and Dawn Ewing were named to the Section 5 All-Star team, and Julie Bowe was MVP of the Section 5 tournament that year. As we already saw, the first undefeated basketball team, 1977 Section 5 basketball champs, and she was also named Coach of the Year for basketball, Section 5 basketball. She was elected to the VCS Hall of Fame in 2011. She now lives in California with her daughter. Actually, the one daughter moved to Florida, but Josie did. But she's her husband Roger passed away a few years ago, but she's doing well. Finally, Carol Martin. Like I said, I don't even know where to start for Carol. If you know, you know. If you don't, you miss one of the most beloved teachers you could ever have had. She was a real pioneer for girls' athletics and promoted involvement and leadership potential. She saw things in us that we would never have seen on our own. Her son Kelly sent me that picture that she kind of looked silly, but that was his favorite picture of his mother. That's how she was. That's how she was. And my favorite picture is the one in the upper left. You know, she giving me that look. You kidding me? Yeah, everybody got that. Yeah. We mourned her loss in October 2018 after a long illness. But without these three women, sports leadership opportunities for us at that time, would not have happened. To infinity and beyond. Here's a presentation of those numbers I started off with, where I saw a tenfold participation in girls' sports between 1972 and 2000, late teens, from about 300,000 to over 3 million girls participating. Victor saw athletic scholarships for girls, and I think Susie Calkins-Sharp was the first girl from Victor to receive any athletic scholarship. She went play volleyball at Moorhead in Kentucky. Yay, Susie. Still they battled for floor time and field time, and the battle continued. The girls got warm-ups and real uniforms and varsity uniforms and JV uniforms, newspaper articles where, catch as catch can, and sometimes, oh, by the way, and coaches were calling out the newspaper editorial staff, as the girls are playing too. Can't you run a story? So even through the late 70s, we still were fighting for our recognition. There's a lot to read up there, but in 2010, Ron Wilson, who was a member class in 1973, he was a sports writer for the Daily Messenger at the time, and he attended the Hall of Fame banquet in 2010 that when Marla and two of the girls' teams, basketball teams, were inducted into the Hall of Fame. And he recognized the battle for women's rights really began when we were in high school. It all started there. You can read that, but even without funding, we at Victor, we were way ahead. We were on the curve, anyway, that was becoming Title IX. In a way, don't get mad at me, but in a way, I think he kind of acknowledges male privilege at that point. So, this great article, which is back there, you can read the whole thing, my good friend Linda Conklin Wood wrote a letter to the editor thanking Ron for his recognition of girls' sports and what Title IX did, and the long way that Victor Central had come for girls' sports. And the last sentence there that Linda wrote, we have the good sense to I can read this, to let others do what we aren't good at, and appreciate them for it because they keep the team competitive. We celebrate victory, learn from defeat, and never give up. And that's not only because you're a high school basketball or volleyball player. That is good for any walk of life. This is what girls' sports do. Linda recognized it. We all recognized it. As a team, we worked and demanded excellence. As a team, we cried and laughed and pulled each other through difficult situations, both on the court and off the court. It made me know the importance of teamwork, which is one of the most valuable skills I took with me on to college and my career in the Air Force. And to a girl, each one of us says today, again, yeah, we only had gym suits, but we played. to the coaches, you gave us our best lives that we could ask for. The school athletics. Your unselfishness taught us teamwork, self-respect, follow-through, and the backbone to pursue our own dreams. That is the essence of Title IX for me. So, today, the struggle is real, and the struggle continues. I'm going to put the slide up. Don't throw anything at me. I'm going to just point out a few things. 17-year-olds, boys and girls. Boys have about 5 inches on girls, 10 to 30 pounds on them. The regulation size of a girl's basketball is 1 inch, the circumference is 1 inch less than a boy's or men's regulation basketball. I don't believe we did. Yeah, they weren't going to buy us, they weren't going to buy us, well, no. The volleyball net, a good 7 inches difference between men's and women's. And you can't really see it, but even men at 70 years old is still higher than old women like my age. That's all I want to say about that. So with that, I want to thank so much the VCS Educational Foundation, Keith, Jenner Davis, Cameron Naves, Jim Exton, Kate Wiegert, and Don Santiago Marulu. Special thanks to Bob Drustig. He put all us together many years, a couple of years ago. Bob Kelly, thank you. Good to see you again. And thank you to Carol Camisso. She's not here. I thought she'd be here. But Carol put Bob and I together. Special thanks to all their coaches, teachers, and teammates, and our friends that made all this happen. Those of all of you who helped, and even those who hindered, because you taught us resolve. Thank you to the Town Hall, to Susie Mandrino for her tech support, and finally, my family, my granddaughter, my grandson, my brother, my husband, my daughter. We learned teamwork, cooperation, determination, and self-respect. Thank you. We want to try it on?
Just so you know, the next one that we got is stripe, the knitted stripe.
Yeah.
It's zipped in the back.
Zipped in the back, yeah. I had that one, yeah.
The,
Any questions or anything? Any questions, comments? Good, I covered the subject entirely then. See you on the golf course. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you very much for coming. And thanks to all of you for coming, and what an informative discussion. Thank you. And again, very important subject, and it was great to see the changes that have occurred, and it's great to see them laid out for us. Thank you all.